Oh my gosh, I've got so much stuff in my background. So much going on. So, good morning. Good morning, those of you who are just joining me. It's Catherine Norland, and I am back for another Q&A. I'm trying to do these Q&As monthly because you guys ask me so many questions, like on the weeks that I'm not answering questions, on the weeks where I'm like teaching. So, for those of you who don't know, I am a life coach as well as an actress and an author. This morning, I was working on my new book. It's a book about Hollywood and all the adventures and misadventures I have been on in this town for the last over 20 years pursuing an acting career. So the ups, the downs, the in-betweens. Uh, Someone's asking, why are you not making Darman videos anymore? I am. I've been shooting all week on a Darman video. And, well, I wasn't shooting last week. Unfortunately, I was home in Minnesota for my daddy's funeral. My daddy died 2 weeks ago. It was very sad. It went very fast. I had just been there I was there 2 weeks in May, and then I was there 3 weeks in July and August. And I left on Monday. Wednesday, my dad fell out of bed. Friday, the doctor said he only had days to live. And then by Sunday morning at 1 a.m., he was gone. So it was very, in some ways, shocking. Like, we knew he wasn't doing that well. Like, he had heart issues, but the falling out of bed and all that kind of surprised us all. So, you never know when it's your turn, when you're going to be gone. And so it's so important to hug those around you, to say you love them, to share with them whatever you want to share with them, and it's really, I guess anytime someone dies, someone that you're close to, it really gets you thinking about your life. Thank you, Jimmy. It gets you thinking about, like, am I doing what I want to do? Am I making a difference in this world with others? Am I leaving a legacy? And, you don't know how short your life is going to be. So thank you, Darius, are you pursuing what you love? Are you going after your dreams and goals? Or are you getting stuck? Are you feeling fear? Are you not moving in faith? We don't know when it's going to be, the end for us, right? Thank you for the roses. We don't know when our turn is going to be up. And so we can't live our life in fear. We don't want to live in regret. We want to go after and do all of the things that we have in our heart to do and not be fearful. Yes, you may fail at what you try. Yes, you may fall flat on your face, but going after your dreams and goals is worth it, no matter what the outcome. Like, even if you fail at it, even if you don't succeed to the level that you want to succeed, you will regret not going after it. Most people on their deathbed, they never say, I wish I would have worked more. They say, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. Or they say, I wish I would have just gone after that dream I had in my heart, but I let people talk me out of it, or I was too scared. Oh, thank you, Nicola. Thank you for the love. Angela, oh my goodness, thank you for your generosity. I so appreciate your gift. James said, you've made a difference in my life. Thank you. And that's what I strive to do in whatever way I can, whether it's, giving encouragement, saying a kind word to someone. Everywhere we go, we're getting discouraged. We're getting people to tell people are telling us we can't do it. We'll never make it. I just, put my youngest son in school. He's in first grade. He's already getting bullied. He's already 7 years old, getting told left and right, you're not cool. Where'd you get that outfit from? The thrift store? Why'd your mom buy you those shoes? They're trash. 7 years old. He's already getting bullied. He's already coming home asking me to buy him name brand clothes. And I mean, I don't think I felt that pressure till junior high or high school, where I thought I needed to have these name brand clothes to fit in, and now it's happening younger and younger. I don't know how I got from, like, death and dreams to bullying, but there we are. I'm gonna go with like, when you guys ask me questions. Oh, Kitty, thank you. So she's sorry for your loss. Yes, thank you guys for your well wishes. Um, so yes, good morning. Good morning, Emily and Kitty and Lance and Nira and Nicola and Angela and James and all the people that are joining me now. Today is a Q&A, so I'm going to be looking to answer your questions. Yes, I have played Mikey's mom. His real life name is Cato. Uh, let's see, looking at your questions. Yes, I know him in real life. I have not hung out with him. Derek, thank you so much for your condolences and for your gift. I appreciate it. So I have two kids, for those of you who are asking, in real life, and it's not Mikey and Jaden from Darman. It's Timothy and Elijah. So I have a 7-year-old and a 17-year-old. Can you believe that? Where does the time go? He's going to be like a full-grown adult. All right, Kitty is asking, do you have a nickname? My daddy used to call me Sparky when I was growing up. He called me Sparky. My uncle, who passed away a few years ago, he used to call me Husky. And here's a funny story about that. For the longest time, I thought he was calling me Husky because he thought I was fat. I had low self-esteem, and I kind of just thought people were picking on me all the time. So, and when I was in school, there was, in my school days, I don't know if this is still a brand, but there was a brand of clothes called Husky, and it was a specific line of jeans for fat kids. It was for kids who couldn't wear regular size clothes. There was literally a brand of clothes called Husky. So for all this time, I thought my uncle would call me Husky because he thought I was fat. Well, it wasn't until after he died, this was like last year or the year after that, I realized that there's a certain breed of dog called Huskies. And Huskies most are the dogs that most frequently have two different colored eyes. And it just dawned on me that, you know what? Maybe my uncle wasn't calling me Husky because he thought I was fat. He was calling me Husky because I had two different colored eyes. So, that's a big realization. And I think whenever you're not sure about what somebody is saying or what they think about you, just believe the best, right? There's a scripture in the Bible that says, love believes the best. So let's just believe if there's ever like a gray area, if there's ever some kind of misunderstanding that someone could be meaning something negative about you, just believe that they really mean something positive. Because if you go around holding pain or hurt or animosity or resentment towards people over what's a misunderstanding or what could be a misunderstanding or something you're not sure about, then you're the one that's going around carrying the pain. Others are not going around carrying the pain. And to be honest, that reminds me of a video I saw earlier this week. There was a woman who was talking about this situation when she was a child, and she was severely abused by this man in all the ways you can think. And she carried that pain and hurt for years as a victim of what was done to her as a child. And as an adult, she ran into this man who did these awful things to her as a child, and she, like, really wanted an apology. She was saying, "I can't believe you did this, and you did that, and you did this, and it crushed me, and this destroyed my life, and you did this and this." And he kinda looked at her dumbfounded like, "Oh, oh, I didn't that actually bothered you? I didn't even know that was gonna, like, hurt you." He wasn't carrying around any stress. He wasn't carrying around any guilt. He wasn't carrying around any shame for the abuse he had done to this little girl, to this child. And then it hit her like she had this big epiphany, this big realization that if he, the perpetrator, the victimizer, the assaulter, wasn't carrying around any guilt or any shame or any feeling bad about what he did to this child, but her, for all these decades, was carrying around this hurt and this pain and this shame of what happened, she thought, why am I taking on the burden of what was done to me when he's been just walking around free as a bird, no guilt on his conscience? And she realized she had been holding herself prisoner. She had been victimizing herself daily, yearly, for decades about what was done to her as being this broken, damaged goods. And he was like, walking around acting like nothing ever happened. She had expected an apology from him for what he had done, the evil he had perpetrated upon her. And he was like, oh, oh, that bothered you? Like it meant nothing to him. And she realized in that moment, it could mean nothing to her either. She could decide to live free. She could decide just to walk away like, oh, that's not who I am. I am not that victim anymore. If he didn't feel bad about what he did, and he wasn't carrying any guilt or shame or pain for what he did to her, she realized, I don't have to carry this around either. And as he was walking away, she ran up to him and she thanked him. Not for what he did, because what he did was awful. It was something you would not want anybody to do to anyone that you love. She thanked him for the realization that she could be set free, that she could walk away not carrying the hurt and pain of what had been done to her in the past, because he wasn't. And sometimes in life, we walk around remembering the hurt, the pain, the slurs, the pushing, the abuse, the bullying, and we're carrying it around while the people who did it are just walking around like having a jolly old life. That's not fair. But that's how it is a lot of time. And I know for myself, I carried around pain and hurt and rejection and bullying and low self-worth because of what people did to me and what people said to me. And they've been walking around like nothing ever happened. Can we live like that? Can we walk around free? We can. And it's a choice. And accepting what happened to you doesn't mean you approve of it, doesn't mean you think it was right, doesn't mean you're giving them a get out of jail free card. It doesn't mean you wanted it, liked it, accepted it, thought it was it. It just means you're acknowledging what is. I accept it in the terms of this happened. I can't reverse the clock. There is nothing I can do about it. But how can I live now? Do I have to stay trapped? Do I have to stay a prisoner? Do I have to believe for the rest of my life that these things that happened to me are who I am? We don't. Whatever's been said to you, whatever's been done to you, you can choose to heal and move on and live the life you want to live and not be held prisoner, stuck in that pain of the past of what's been done to you, wearing it like a victim. Like she said, I was saying I forgave him. I was wearing forgiveness like a badge of honor, like, look at me. I was victimized. I had this awful stuff happen to me. And aren't I a good person for forgiving this evil person? And she realized forgiveness is like, it's not about you forgiving them so people go, oh, aren't you awesome? Oh my God, I can't believe you forgive him after what he did to you. It was like forgiveness is the key that unlocks the jail that you're in. They're not even in the jail. Thank you, R3K3. They're not even in the jail. You're in the jail. You've put yourself in the jail for replaying what was done to you over and over and over and over in your mind. They said this, they did this. I can't believe they said this, thing upon thing upon thing. Thank you, Chloe. My teacher said this about me. My ex-husband said this about me. So and so did this to me. So and so stole my boyfriend. So and so betrayed me. So and so. Thank you, Shan27. We don't need someone to apologize for what they did for us to be set free, for us to live our best life. We can choose. I am not going to be a prisoner to my past. I am not going to be a prisoner to what has been done to me. I am going to live my life fully. Has this affected me? Yes. Has it turned my life upside down? It has until now, but I'm deciding today, I'm drawing a line in the sand and saying, no more. I will not let that perpetrator or what's been done to me, those thoughts live rent free in my mind anymore. And we can decide today is our day of freedom. Today is the day I walk out of this jail that I put myself in mentally, and I live up to what people said I never would. What I desire to have in life is what I'm going to go after. And I'm not going to let what I did or what's been done to me keep me from the beautiful, powerful presence and purpose of what God has for my life and what He wants me to have and do and be. That is my choice. And what these other people did to me and what they said about me cannot stop me, because it's not about where I've been, what I've done, what's been done to me. It's about where I'm going and what I determine I'm going to do. How about we lighten this up a little and I answer some of your more. Kitty wants to know what my favorite food is. It's fruit. Fruit is my favorite food. I forgot to bring my grape juice back here. I just poured some grape juice, which I could probably use a sip of right now. Let's see. Somebody's asking what my favorite color is. It's kind of turquoise aqua. It's kind of like the color behind me. I got the color, my favorite color behind me. I also have a blanket on and I have little pillows the same color. Anu says, I'm in the Special Olympics. I always wanted to be an actor, but sometimes I fear that no one would cast anyone because of my disability. What should I do? You should go for your dreams anyway. Thank you, Lexi. Thank you, Lawson. You should go for your dreams no matter what. And the best thing we can do is take the buts out of it. Sometimes we say, I want to do this, but this. I want to be an actor, but I'm overweight. I want to be an actor, but I'm special needs. And we use the but to stop us, to say, because of that, we can't. When really we should be using and instead of but, right? I want to be an actor and I'm overweight. I want to be an actor and I have a disability. it doesn't stop us. It's just like acknowledging what is, right? And if you look, you can find people who are actors, who are overweight, who are actors, who are special needs. The thing that you are, the thing that you battle with isn't something that's going to stop you from living your dreams. Yeah, sometimes maybe you may have to adjust, or you may have to do things differently, or maybe there won't be as many parts, but when there is a part, oh, it's a juicy part. It's just going to be, the right part for you. There may be not as many opportunities, but there's still going to be opportunities. And if it's worth having, it's worth working for. And in truth, what's stopping you is not your weight, it's not your disability, it's not your age. It's it's the thoughts that you think that stop you from going after your goals and your dreams and your purpose. Because if God put a dream in your heart, you can fulfill that dream, right? The book of Proverbs tells us if you delight yourself in the Lord, he will give you the desires of your heart. So he'll give them to you. You seek him first, right? We learned that in the book of Matthew. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all these things shall be added unto you. What things? All things. So what is it that you desire? What is it that you want? Is it possible that you can have it? Yeah. It falls into the category of all, and all means all, right? Of course, if your desire is to be hurting other people or something like that, you're not going to get that desire, right? Okay, someone is asking um, if I've been filming. Yes, I've been filming all week for Darman, and then I was filming 2 weeks ago as well. I'm filming 2 days next week that I know of. Today, after I get off this live stream, I also have 3 auditions to shoot for my agent. Well, 2 for my agent for commercials, and 1 is for a faith-based Western. Wouldn't that be really cool to be in a Western and wear those cool Western outfits? So to be in a period piece. So you say some prayers for me that I do a really good job on these 3 auditions, because I'd love to get some other work. I love working at Darman, though. It's such a great place to work. I love the content. I love the storylines. I love that it makes a difference for people. I love that it's putting positive messages out there in the world. I was just writing about that this morning. So for those of you who are new to hearing me talk, you may not know I'm a writer. I've written several books. You can see some of them over there. And I'm working on book number 7. I even helped my dad write a book, which was his lifelong dream. And I got his book published 2 years before he passed away. So in 2023, it's called The 100 Air. Maybe I have one here. Let's see. Yes, this is my dad's book I helped him publish. It's called The 100 Air. It's kind of like there was a TV show back in the day called The Millionaire. And it was a real TV show where some random person would show up at your house out of the blue unexpectedly, and they would say, you've been watched and your good deeds have been noted. And basically they would be watching you, and they would see that you were a good person and you were kind and you were generous, and they would give you $1 million. Well, this book, The 100 Air, is a memoir of generosity from the house painter next door. My dad painted houses for a living. He didn't have a lot of money. When I was a kid, he was only charging $2 an hour to paint people's houses. And that's back in the day where other people would be charging like $6 an hour. But he had low self-worth, and he didn't think he was worth more. And so this book is not about that. It's about being generous and loving your neighbor and loving those around you and giving, even if you don't have a lot to give. Like some people say, well, I can't be generous. I can't tithe. I can't give because I don't have enough to pay my bills. And this is about being able to give even when you're not a millionaire, not a thousandaire, you're only 100aire. How do you give generously and live and love in a way that leaves a legacy for others. And when I was at his funeral last week, and I was up at the podium speaking about my dad, we had a time crunch. The pastor only gave me 10 minutes to speak because we had to be done by a certain time because the taps were coming. Taps are the military, kind of, the military comes and does kind of a salute. They do this ceremony because my dad was a veteran where they kind of stand in line and they honor you and they shoot their military guns, and they came and gave my mom a military flag. Yeah, it was very special. It brought tears to our eyes. But having only 10 minutes to speak about someone who's lived for 8 decades, that was really, really hard. Like, how do you encapsulate someone's entire life and the difference they made for so many in 10 minutes? I was able to talk about the difference he made in my life. And if you guys are going to be here next week, I plan to talk about life lessons I learned from my dad and, what he taught me. Angela's saying it's a great book, guys, full of great stories. Yeah, these are really, really fun stories. Um, Maybe next week when I'm doing uh, maybe I'll read one of them to you next week when I talk about my dad next week. So all these people were coming up to me and saying, like, first of all, I was surprised at the turnout. There was a lot of people there. And I honestly don't even know how. There probably would have been a lot more had we like called people and let them know. But the only way all these people showed up is they would have had to read the newspaper because the obituary was in the newspaper. So I'm sure if I had put it out all over social media or things like that, there would have been even more people there. But it just goes to show that you never know the difference you're making in somebody's life, even when even when it feels insignificant. In this age of social media, we look at all these people that have hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, and we think, in order for me to be somebody or to make a difference, or I have to have hundreds of thousands of followers, or I have to have millions of followers. And it's not true. It starts right where you're at. It starts with the kindness you show and the love you show just to the people around you in your immediate circle. And you don't know the ripple effect that has. Like when you throw a pebble or a rock into a pond and the ripples keep going, you think, well, I just threw that one rock. You don't know the difference or the legacy you're leaving behind, right? So, for example, like a lot of you are here because you've seen me on Dhar Mann, and people look to him and go, oh my goodness, Dhar Mann is the number one show on YouTube as far as scripted content, scripted, acted out content. And people think, well, gosh, I can only make a difference if I become like that or if I get that big. But we forget about who we see him, but we don't think, who are the people that poured into him? Who are the people that encouraged him along the way? Who are the people that sowed seeds into him that made him believe in himself, right? They get credit too. You may not see them necessarily getting credit in this earthly realm, but when we get to heaven one day, we're going to find out the difference we made is so big and so vast and so incalculable. There are going to be people there, if we did our God job, in heaven because we said something that changed one person's life. And because we said something that changed that one person's life, they went on and changed 20 people's lives. And those 20 people went on and changed 100 people's lives. But it started with that one seed you sowed. You never know when someone might catch a dream from you. You never know when a little word or something you might do may open up the window of a mind that seeks the light. The way you live, it may not matter at all, but you never know. It might. And just in case it could be that another's life through you might possibly change for the better with a broader and brighter view. It seems it might be worth a try at pointing the way to the right. Of course, it may never matter at all, but you never know. It might. That kind word or that thing, you might be standing in line at the grocery store and you notice something. You notice, like, oh, I like that person's shoes, but you keep it to yourself and you don't say anything. Those are gifts you're holding back. There's sometimes, like, we want to be like, oh, that person's got a really nice smile. Like, we notice it. But we have to speak about it. We have to say something about it. That may be just the thing that person needs. That's going to make a difference in their life. They may be feeling so bad. They may be feeling so down. Like, we don't know if that person in line at the grocery store, they just have a couple things. We don't know if it's their last penny. We don't know if they're broke. We don't know if they're buying their last meal and then they're going home and planning on hurting themselves. But when you get that urge, when you get that feeling and you go, gosh, I should say, like, hey, how are you today? That's social media can be great for reaching people in a good way, but it also has a way of sucking us in and not getting us to notice the people around us that are there in real life in our vicinity. And we can stand, like, it's like we have become so addicted. We can't even stand in line at the grocery store without looking down at our phone and scrolling. We're not noticing the people around us. We're not noticing the pain on someone's face that we could encourage. We're not noticing the little old lady that's having to put stuff back or is counting the pennies in her hand that may not have enough, or the single mom and she's putting things back because she doesn't have enough. If we were looking up and looking around at the people around us, and we could say, hey, oh, you don't need to put that back. Here's $4. Will that cover it? We could be making a difference, so much so, and we don't even realize it because we're so busy looking down, looking at our phones, when we need to be noticing the people around us that are hurting or in pain. We need to be giving a kind word to the person that he says to himself as he goes to the store to buy his last meal. No one even knows I'm alive. No one acknowledges me. If someone just said something kind to me today, I might think of continuing on. But we're so distracted, right? It's my challenge for you this week. Whenever you're in public, look up. Notice the people around you. See something you may like about someone. Acknowledge them. Tell them something that you like about them. That's a cool shirt. Or maybe they're carrying something. Oh, you like Honey Nut Cheerios too? Hey, have you ever tried the strawberry Cheerios? I don't know. I just made that up. I bought them last week for my kids. It was some kind of strawberry Cheerios. Making small talk, acknowledging people exist. There's times you feel that way, right? Where you're like, nobody knows I exist. Nobody talks. And we somehow think we're making friends with these influencers because we're so invested in their lives. What about investing in our own life? What about investing in the people around us? What about acknowledging the person in front of you? We get so warped and twisted by what we see online that we don't reach out to those around us and make a difference when we could. Cad Lenny is asking if I like tennis. I played it a couple times in high school, but I never really took it up as a sport. All right. Questions. I'm here to answer your questions today. And sometimes I get into these, philosophical life coaching things because that's what I do. I'm a life coach. For those of you who don't know, I'm a life coach and I help people who know they were made for more to be able to see themselves the way God sees them in a way that allows them to go after their dreams and their goals and their purpose and to make a difference. And we have to decide, like, what is the difference we want to make and how are we measuring success? Maybe success isn't measured by the cars in the driveway, by the size of the house we have, by how good our boyfriend or girlfriend looks. Maybe success isn't measured by the money in the bank. You see, those are all things you can't take with you. When you die, that's going to all be left behind. I know some of you are so young and you're like, death, that's 60 years away. I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm just trying to live my best life. And that's fine, but what difference are you making for others? And think of the times where you needed someone to speak a word of love or encouragement to you. And you needed that. We can be that for others. It reminds me, I may have mentioned this before, but there was a story about this little boy who was on the beach and the tide had come in and the waves had splashed up all of these starfish all around the shore, thousands of them, thousands of starfish. And if you know anything about starfish, well, if they just stay laying on the beach and the sun comes out, they're going to die. They're going to harden, right? They need to be in water to survive. So this boy, he's picking up starfish and he's throwing them back into the ocean so they can live. And he's picking up another one and throwing it back in the ocean so they can live. And then this this old cynical guy comes by and he says, "What are you doing?" He says, I'm saving the starfish." And the old man says, "What? You're never going to be able to save them, but there's thousands of starfish. What you're doing is not even making a difference." And the little boy bent down and he picked up a starfish and he threw it back in the ocean. And he said, "It made a difference for that one. You know what? You may never become some big influencer. You may never become a movie star or a pro athlete. You may never command millions or thousands to hang on your every word, but can you make a difference for the one? Can you make a difference for those around you?" That's that's the ultimate goal, right? We don't know how far that will go, how far what we've done will spread. But we have to be in the business of making a difference for others. Otherwise, what are we here for? Do you think you are put on this earth just to like have an awesome life, just to eat at five-star restaurants and to have fun and have cool? Or do you think we're here for each other? Do you think we're here to make a difference in others' lives? It's deep questions. And I know sometimes we just get caught up in the fluff. We just get caught up in, you know, the things that will not matter in the long run. So, um, okay, sorry. Some of you are feeling ignored because I'm not answering your questions. I'm so trying to, I guess, leave behind something that you can take with you, something of value. But I'll answer your questions too. Okay. Thank you for the gifts and the roses. Yes, I still work at Dhar Mann. Thank you for the compliments. Let's see. My favorite color is aqua. I know I answered that, but some of you just joined. Um, some of you are saying, "Why are you wearing a wig?" I just bought some new ones for the characters I play, and I want to try them out before I wear them for a character. So, when you're playing all these different characters, sometimes you need different looks. Changing your wardrobe is good, but sometimes, you guys have seen me play Karens, and I had like the short Karen wig. So I bought some new ones out, and I thought I would try them out and see, do I like the color? Do I like the cut? Do I like the style? It's just, when you're an actor, you just try different things. right? You see what works and what doesn't. And someone said, show your real hair. I have lots. If you just go to my YouTube channel or my TikTok channel or my Instagram, you can see my real hair in hundreds of videos I have up. So, and you can see my real hair in hundreds, well, not hundreds, in at least 150 Darman videos. So it's not that big of a deal. It's a little longer than my real hair is a little longer than this. It's wavy. It's not straight. It's different shade of blonde though. Okay, Nicola, thank you so much for the gift. She said the cameo the other day really helped me. Loved your cute analogy on connecting with others as admiring the flowers in the bouquet, not just one. I want to try to get better at when I'm like sharing advice of using visuals, using metaphors, using like pictures. I was working with this new actor on set yesterday. It was his first Darman video, and I could tell he was going through some stuff. And I was giving him advice, and I had these pictures come up in my mind. I said, instead of just giving advice, I'm going to give him advice that has like a concrete picture that you can imagine, using a boat, using a triangle, using the different things. And I think that sticks better, right? That's why Jesus talked in parables. He talked in parables so we could remember it more. How many of you have ever been to church and heard a sermon, or even just heard your teacher talk, and they told some lesson? And but you don't remember all the lessons and the stats and the years or the verses, but you remember that one story they told about the little girl losing her red hat or whatever, and they tied that into the lesson. That's the things we take with us. That's the things we remember. I may answer all these questions for you, but you may go home just remembering, the little boy picking up the starfish and throwing it back in the ocean. I could talk a whole hour on making a difference in others' lives, and you may just remember that one thing, and that's what we need. Someone's asking what my favorite season of the year is. I like all the seasons except winter. I'm not a big fan of being cold. That's probably why one of the reasons I stay in California, even though I could live so many other places for so much cheaper. Let's see. Thank you. Oh, a lot of people saying, I love your acting. Thank you so much. Someone said, winter sucks. Love your acting. What's your favorite? Someone says, what's your favorite show? What's your favorite show? Well, my favorite show on YouTube is Darman. Duh. I've been watching reruns though, as far as like regular TV shows. Been watching, I just watched Everybody Hates Chris. I watched all the seasons of that. I watched all the seasons of Malcolm in the Middle. If you guys watch that, you may spot me in one of the episodes. I was in one of the episodes once, long time ago. Obviously, that show's been off the air for more than a decade. I've lately been watching The Middle with Patricia Heaton. I like that show. Okay, somebody's asking what I think the funniest episode of Mikey and Jay and Mikey or Jaden is, and why. What is the fun? They got into so many shenanigans. There's so many funny episodes, but I think the one that sticks with me and kind of sticks with others the most is because I get called this sometimes by people. Sometimes they just call me Mikey's mom, but other times they call me Kathy Fart Bucket Miller. Yes, I just admitted that online. So there's this episode where I was going to be moving, which means Mikey would have had to move, which means Jay and Mikey wouldn't be going to the same school anymore. And if that happened, if I got this job that I was applying for, then I would be moving the family and Mikey would have to go to a different school. So Mikey and Jay get this idea that they're going to sabotage my interview for this job position. And so they switch out my resumes. And they put all this crazy stuff on my resume. So when the boss is interviewing me and he's reading my resume, he's reading out all this crazy stuff. And one of the things on there is Mikey changed my name from, I don't remember what my last name was in the Jay and Mikey series. It was Kathy something. Miller. Oh, Kathy Miller. He put my name on my resume as Kathy Fart Bucket Miller. So sometimes people still put that in the comments or still say that to me based on that episode where he sabotaged my interview. And there was other crazy things on that resume, but that's the one I kind of remember the most. That was so silly. Um, yes, where are you on Ackley Bridge? I don't even know what that means. I'm looking at some of your questions, but I don't even know what some of them mean. Someone says that color hair is beautiful. You should dye your hair that color. You know, the thing about this color is it looks good on camera, but I don't like how it looks in person. Like when I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, this color is hideous. But then it doesn't look that bad on the live stream. I see it doesn't look that bad on the live stream. So maybe I wouldn't dye my hair this color because then I would look yucky in real life, but okay on camera. And I'm in my real life more than I'm on camera. So, hey, Mary. Okay, more questions. Would you rather have a pile of gold or a pile of wisdom? Good question, Tom. I'm going to have to go with a pile of wisdom because the more wisdom you have, the more gold you can get, right? That's right out of the Bible, right? They call Solomon the wisest man who ever lived. He was also the richest man who ever lived. Solomon had more money than Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, any of the rich people you can name, any of the people on the Forbes, more money than Oprah. And God was asking Solomon, what do you want? Ask me for anything and I will give it to you. And Solomon asked for wisdom. When you have wisdom, people come to you. People want your advice. He was giving advice to the Queen of Sheba. He was giving advice to like the presidents of the day, the kings and queens of the day, because he had wisdom. So I feel like I could definitely use more wisdom. Yes, I could use more money. I could use some piles of gold. But I think the more wisdom I have, the more wealth I could accumulate to do whatever I needed and wanted to do to make my dreams happen. So, wisdom is always going to be the answer. And schooling, like not necessarily even official schooling, like having all these degrees, but stay studying specifically on the topics that are important to you. You know, I read books. So far, I've read 42 books this year. I try to read a book every week. And my time is pretty limited, but there's a great thing you guys could all be part of, and that's audiobooks. So while I'm driving in the car, for me, it makes no sense to be blasting music that I've already heard that song 600 times when I could be gaining wisdom and knowledge. Like you could use your car rides like a mobile university, listening to your favorite podcast, your favorite books, so you can gain that wisdom and knowledge to get a leg up, to get understanding, right? Someone asked something about when I was a baby, but it went by too quick. Oh, did your eyes look like that when you were a baby? I would have to look at some different baby pictures. I'm not sure, but I've seen plenty of pictures from when I was a kid, and it showed that I had the two different colored eyes. So as far as I know, I've always had it. But sometimes babies are born with sometimes babies all kind of have a similar eyes that are like kind of a dark gray, kind of dark blue gray. Um, and then they change or get brighter or lighter. I have a friend who swears to me that he prayed for his eyes to turn blue and it actually happened when he was 17. I don't know. I wasn't there to witness it, but he said he had brown eyes his whole life and he would always pray for blue eyes. And when he was 17, once he was out on a date with this girl and she looked him in the eye, she said, "You have the most beautiful blue eyes." And he was like, "What?" And he said he went home, looked in the mirror, and they had turned blue. Now, was this friend pulling my leg? Did that really happen? I don't know. I know God answers prayers, but does he answer superficial ones like that? Maybe sometimes, you know. Okay, let me look at your questions. Let's see. What do you do to make yourself feel better when you are sad? I definitely do not recommend listening to sad songs. I used to do that when I was sad and depressed. I would listen to songs that would make me even more sad and depressed. You know, you can control you can, it's the best thing you can do to control your mood and control your emotions. When you can control your emotions, your mood, the words you speak, you're going to be able to control pretty much anything in your life. A lot of things we regret in life is because of us acting out and making decisions during times where we were sad or depressed or angry. We make choices that sometimes we regret for the rest of our life. For instance, sadness. Some people get so sad they want to hurt themselves, they want to destroy their life. And if you can just tell yourself, you know what? I'm not making any decisions, any important life decisions when I'm in this frame of mind. That's number one, we have to do that. A lot of times, when we're sad and depressed and we're angry, we need to step away from the situation. We need to go do something that we love, go do something that brings us joy, like make your favorite meal, watch your favorite comedy show, do something. Thank you, Yanchik. Do something that makes you feel happy, come alive. Don't stay in the place of sadness. Don't stay rehearsing the negative things that are upsetting you. Don't stay dwelling on thinking about that person that hurt you, betrayed you, that thing that's making you sad. You got to break away from that situation, get away from it. Um, Sometimes like, I put my essential oils on. I smell them, I have different ones like joy. This one is abundance. This one is new heights. I put them on. I put them in the diffuser. Sometimes like they say, stop and smell the roses. Literally, there's healing and medicinal power in roses, in laughing, in doing what we love. So, is your favorite thing roller skating? Go roller skating then when you're sad. By the end of your roller skating thing, you're going to feel better. So, make it a point to break away from where you're feeling sad, depressed, and do the things that make you happy. Is it going in the wood shop? Is it carving wood? Whatever is making you feel sad, go try to get away from that and do something completely different, because we can get so stuck and spiral down. I was telling one of my coaching clients recently, instead of spiraling down thinking about all the negative things that could happen, might happen, will happen, let's work on spiraling up. Let's stop the sadness, get out of the house, get out of where the sad thing happened, go for a walk, go out in nature, smell some flowers, take yourself to the movie, get yourself a bowl of popcorn, or just go somewhere with a journal and start making a list of all the things you're grateful for. Start making a list of all the things that have gone right in your life. Start making a list of, you know what? I'm relatively healthy. I can, I have a roof over my head. I have food in my fridge. I have, making a list of things that you're grateful for. I can see, I can hear, I can speak. Some people can't do some of those things. Do you have all your limbs? Some people don't have arms. Some people don't have legs. Some people, what can you remember that you do have going for you? And what are good things that have happened in your life? And start to recall those things and spiral up. We have to spiral up. Yes, it's easier to go down. Yes, gravity pulls us down. Yes, our mind is bent on negative things. That's why we have to fight to bring it back up. We have to fight to spiral up, because spiraling down will just come naturally, right? Things don't evolve in a good way. Things like, if you leave a castle unattended, it's going to grow moss all over it. Weeds are going to come up. Pipes are going to rust. Things are going to happen. You have to constantly be trimming the weeds, making your house nice, keeping away, keeping things oiled so they don't rust shut, whatever it is. And we have to do that with our life. We have to do that with our mind. We have to protect our mind. We have to work on our wisdom. We have to work on remembering the good things. How is it when something bad happens, then we start to remember, then this other bad thing happened, then this other bad thing happened, and then this happened? But we need to do that for the good too. I think I just released a video, YouTube video, just not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, talking about making a list of all the good things instead of remembering all the bad things. Oh, remember when I did book that show? Remember when I got that raise? Remember when that person gave that nice compliment to me? Remember when I gave that speech in class and I got an A and they didn't laugh at me? Remember when my mom took me to the amusement park? Remember? And start making a list of all the great things that happened. That will help get you out of your sadness. And it takes work. I'm not saying it's going to come easy, but you're worth working for, right? Somebody again is asking, were your eyes that color when you were a baby? I did talk about that. I think so. I don't remember being a baby and looking in the mirror. I would have to dig up some old baby pictures, but they were definitely two different colors when I was a little kid. Donald just said Solomon also had 7 wives, meaning he also had 700 mother-in-laws. Okay, so I do need to stress that although Solomon was supposedly the wisest man in the entire world, I don't know how smart it is to have 700 wives. That's a lot of that's a lot of issues that come with that. Sometimes it's hard enough to have one, right? So, um, yeah, maybe that part he was lacking wisdom and judgment, right? Somebody's asking me, what do you do in your free time? In my free time, I like this morning, I had I always have a to-do list scheduled from morning to night, all the things to do. But this morning I was like, forget about my to-do list. I was working on my book, but then my little one got up and I was like, give me a hug. And he crawled on my lap and I was hugging him and he didn't get off my lap. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm rubbing him. I'm patting his back. I'm talking to him. I didn't want him to leave. So I was like, forget about the to-do list. So my downtime, I think I cuddle with my kids. I write poetry. I work on books I'm writing. I'm working on my 7th book. I'm writing about my journey in Hollywood. I was tentatively calling it Smoking Hopium, but a lot of people don't get that. There's a poem inside the book called Smoking Hopium. Or I was going to maybe call it Ramen Noodle Days, Red Carpet Nights. Or it's really about like the inside scoop on Hollywood, but from someone who's kind of on the outskirts of Hollywood. Like I've been acting in Hollywood for over 20 years. I've been on more than 100 projects, film, TV, commercials, theater, industrials, before I booked Darman, which I've been on the last 7 years and have done 200 episodes. So, but in some ways, because I haven't broke through to the level, like I've been on a couple TV shows, but because I haven't like broke through to like movie star status, in some ways I go, well, gosh, I don't know if I'm actually successful. Maybe I'm just on the outskirts. So I've been writing about that a lot because a lot of people assume that if you're an actor, you're rich. And what they don't realize, because like when I went home to Minnesota a few weeks ago, my little one wanted to go to the swimming pool and I kept taking him to the swimming pool and all the kids were coming, recognizing me, wanting to take pictures with me and all that. And they're like, you're an actor? That must mean you're rich. And I'm trying to tell them like, not all actors are rich. And they didn't get that. They're like, what are you talking about? So for those of you who don't know, there's hundreds of thousands of actors in the world. And particularly there's something called SAG. That stands for Screen Actors Guild. That is the union. Now, there are 160,000 people in SAG. There's 160,000 actors in the Screen Actors Guild. Only 2%, listen to me, only 2% of actors in the Screen Actors Guild actually make a living, like where they can pay all of their bills through acting alone. And these kids are looking at me like, what? What? They just assumed, well, if you're an actor and you're recognizable, you're rich. And that's really not how it works. So the majority of actors, 98% in the union, and probably maybe it's more like 99% not in the union, do not make an actual full-time living where they can pay all their bills off acting. So a lot of people don't know that. They just assume if you're recognizable that you must, have so much money. And I can tell people think that about me too, because I get a lot of inbox messages and requests for money from random strangers. Even like, hey, I'm a big fan. Send me $100. Well, first of all, you don't know if it's a scam. You don't know who they are. You don't know if they're bots. You don't know if my grandma's in the hospital dying. Send me money for her bills. You don't know if they're just making that up. We have to be cautious, right? We have to be careful online. So that's, that's it. So it's been an hour. I'm usually on here for an hour every Saturday. And so I would love for you to join me next week. Next week, I'll be talking to you again. Next week won't be a Q&A, but I will answer some questions if it's related to the topic I'm speaking on. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a life coach. I'm a motivational speaker and a writer besides being an actor. So there's so much I love to talk about and to help people with their dreams and goals. Next week, I'm going to be sharing about things I learned from my dad. For those of you who don't know, my daddy's funeral was last week. I lost my father 2 weeks ago. So a lot I want to share, with what I've learned that I think will help you, that you might enjoy. So if you join me next week, I would love to see you. Same time, I come on at 8 a.m. Pacific time. All right. So I hope to see you next week. And